Technically, hypothetical Talking Tuesday is back. Hopefully, it's just a preview of a Woody Wednesday. Welcome to The Beat. That is television's Adam King. I am apparently radio's Austin Ward.
Whoever called him that, I love you. Great job. He texted me like I had sent a plant to where he was. He's like, somebody called me radio's Austin Ward. Did you set this up? I did not, but I take credit for it.
Yeah, it's well done. Here we go. We have carved out our identities, but you know that everything will come together on a Talking Tuesday to preview a hopeful Ryan Day press conference this week. Signing day is tomorrow. Generally, we'll get an update. There's a lot to talk about with the Buckeyes. The Beat, of course, is presented by the Waterworks. I must mention that right now. Hopefully, we can have some snap judgments this week. But that will be contingent on Ohio State's schedule. I know either way, there is so much rattling around your brain right now.
This is the most excited Talking Tuesday I've had since we were standing on the field at Media Day in Dallas.
You were so excited that you lost your voice.
That's true. I used it all for the show.
That was the last time you spoke for 48 hours.
That's true. We have so many answers, and those answers lead to a lot more questions.
They do, yeah.
And those questions are the exciting part. Those questions are what we get to spend the next 6 months talking about. I'll start with the big one. I mean, so Ryan Day, for those of you that don't know, he did speak on his Ryan Day show Friday night on The Fan. And so we got some answers. That was the first time hearing from him since the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah.
And while at that point Arthur Smith wasn't confirmed, they hadn't announced it.
The ink had not been dry yet on the contract.
But he mentioned a person that they were hiring for offensive coordinator. And there were a couple things that I thought really, really jumped out. One, and this was a huge question for Ryan Day, which is, how serious was it that you thought about not bringing in someone else?
Mm-hmm.
Now, he didn't get all the way into that, and that's probably still one of my biggest lingering questions he said Keenan Bailey is a great piece, and he's so close. He talked about just the whole room in general. But the biggest thing that jumped out to me was that Ryan Day talked about how much Arthur Smith can help coach these guys almost. That maybe Keenan didn't get the job this time. But if he works under Arthur Smith and we don't know what's down the line, then the next time around, someone in that room is ready to step up, which ironically is exactly how it went with Brian Hartline under Chip Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know the contract. I don't know. Everybody wants to be here for 2 years. Like, that's the dream scenario, at least. It did sound like a guy. This was my biggest takeaway. My biggest answer, and we've had a month of questions. It sounded like a guy that did not care about February 1st, 2027. He sounded like a coach that cared about next season, and all he cares about is winning next season. The way he talked, the way he said, I wanted a guy in the right fit for this year. He didn't say it, but it felt like you could expound on that and say, for Julian Sayin and Jeremiah Smith and Bo Jackson and for all these defenders and all these guys, I need someone now that can win now. But specifically with Arthur Smith, with that offense, I need someone who can win now. And so I thought that was my biggest takeaway. I know it's a Talking Tuesday. I have a lot of questions, but that was a big answer we finally got.
Yeah, it is. Because we had certainly been talking about that for more than a month before even the Cotton Bowl. How was this going to work out? What was going to be the role for Keenan Bailey and Billy Fessler and Tyler Bowen? Would they even have the financial commitment from Ross Bjork and Ted Carter to go beyond what any coaching staff has ever looked like for Ohio State? And they did do all that. And they're still doing that, by the way, because they have made a selection. They did over the weekend for a special teams coordinator to come in, but they did not make that move with Robbie Disher from Illinois, saying, well, if you bring in one, you're going to have to send out another or get rid of two to find the money. Like they're assembling the largest coaching staff in the history of Ohio State football.
Arguably the history of college football.
Yeah, I mean, this is the
others are going to try to keep up.
They will for sure, especially in the SEC. Or you look at Kyle Whittingham was already doing that as he was assembling his own coaching staff on the other half of the rivalry. So this is the way of the world. That's the next arms race, which is still a lot of money flying around and a lot of personnel. But there's also the potential that could continue to happen into the future when you look at the defensive side of the football. And because Arthur Smith, I don't think is going to be having any recruiting requirements, and maybe down the road the same will be true for Matt Patricia, and you can add multiple defensive line coaches at some point into the future,
which could help if you're making a transition at some point.
At some point. So that part, it's not the most pressing question for a Talking Tuesday, but it's one of the more fascinating ones to ask Ryan Day, because he doesn't have a blank check from Ross Bjork, but he's got a lot of resources available. How are you deciding what to do with this canvas that has a lot of room for you to paint on it?
So it's really funny, because I think if you go back 4 years, the coaching staff, it was cut and dry.
Yeah.
Analysts didn't even exist. It was cut and dry.
Yeah.
It's like, these are who can talk to the players. This is what can happen. This is who can recruit. Well, I was watching a documentary on the Patriots versus Seahawks. And I don't know, we're not a Patriots area, so people won't know. But they had a play.
Are they playing a big game?
They were. But they said Malcolm go in that play, which was them telling Malcolm Butler to go. He wasn't supposed to be in. Anyway, so I'm watching that.
That worked out pretty well, I believe.
It did. And do you know who was talking? Was one, Matt Patricia.
Matthew Patricia.
And then they cut to another guy. Do you know who it was? And it's someone that never gets talked about. Spoiler alert. It was Josh Boyer.
Josh Boyer. I would love to have a Talking Tuesday with Josh Boyer alone. He's never spoken since he got here.
And you know what? It was so interesting, because it was
He's probably spoken to other people.
He has spoken. I've heard him speak. It was almost the moment with Leonardo DiCaprio,
Yeah.
And it's those kind of guys. Boy, I bet that sounded terrible on people's microphones or people's car radios.
Yeah.
It's those kind of guys that nobody talks about that are really, really massive. And the way that Ohio State has started to really shape this thing, question here, which I think is going to be, we're going to run into that problem, is how do you not have too many voices in the room? And can you have too many voices in the room? Can that be a problem where, okay, we've got 11 chefs in the offensive kitchen at this point?
Yeah.
But I also think I almost want to give credit in seeing Josh Boyer in that documentary. I want to say, you know what? We don't talk about that enough. That was a hire that went under the radar, but it's been massive for Ohio State. He's a quality control guy for those that don't know, but just those kind of pieces that you can add in to build this coaching staff.
I think it's a fair point, because what I thought of immediately when you brought that up, if you have too many chefs in the kitchen, like, was it actually the best thing for the offensive line to effectively have 3 full-time coaches a year ago in that room? Tyler Bowen was going back, transitioning to coaching offensive line, and that's been the singular position I think that's dominated 2 months of conversation about the way that the season ended for the Buckeyes, and probably justifiably so. But you also had Charlie Dickey and Marcus Johnson, and is that too many voices for that position? Is that the right amount? Do you want, if you're Ryan Day, do you consider restructuring that? How do you think that went? Because I've said this before, the commitment to Tyler Bowen and the belief in his coaching potential, none of that has been shaken. And Ohio State certainly feels very confident in the group that it has coming back to play there. Even when you lose Tegra Shabola, you still have 4 returning starters. They did not go into the transfer portal. You have Ian Moore, Josh Padilla, Gabe Van Sickle, all waiting to give you some more depth going into spring football in the middle part of March. But did that work? Did it not work? Is the answer just bringing in unlimited coaches? Because in some respects it may not be, but that's the part where, that's the second part, the follow-up to Ryan Day is you can do whatever you want with the staff, but what's the right way? What's the right balance? Nobody truly knows. It's trial and error.
It's trial and error, but if you win a national title, none of it matters. And that's, we saw Ohio State was positive in the revenue department. It's a large part because
they're selling a lot of T-shirts.
Yeah, exactly. And when you win a national title, a Cotton Bowl, and a Rose Bowl, that helps bolster things.
Yeah.
I am,
pun intended.
So, I want to look at a different side of what Ryan Day said, and we haven't really had a chance to dive into it because we went right from the transfer portal to who's going to be the offensive guy, and there's a million things to talk about. One guy that really, really intrigues me.
Okay.
Ryan touched on him a little bit in his radio show, but not to the extent I want. So I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
Rousseau.
Mm-hmm. Quay Rousseau.
Yeah. When you see him on the field next year, give me a former Buckeye that you think he resembles?
Gosh, I don't know. He has a unique physical profile.
Yes, he does.
He has versatility to play in multiple positions. A little bit of like Baron Browning, a little bit of Jonathan Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not bringing up either of those two guys to pull off old wounds, old scabs, and have them start bleeding again. It's like, why didn't they get to do the things that they have done in the NFL? I think that's what Matt Patricia is building towards. If you're looking at the physical profile of the players that, especially up front or in the front seven, I guess if we can also put Christian Allegro in that conversation as well, hybrid defenders that you can almost effortlessly switch between 3-4, 4-3, different edge rushers. Because the thing that I don't want to say is, well, there's some Arvell to him. I think that would be, I don't know that that's accurate for anyone.
So you got there.
Is that what you wanted me to do? Is that what you wanted, Adam? Fine, I did it.
I did it. I put the expectation out there. No,
you didn't even tell me that. I'm just gonna throw this little.
Well, because I wanted it to be raw, and that was great. Like I wanted to hear your initial thoughts without pre-planning, and with that,
what's planning? My
thought, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't think he plays one snap at linebacker this entire year.
Okay.
Do I sound crazy to say that?
I don't know what they're gonna do with them.
And so that is my big of all the transfers. When I lay them all out, my number one ding, ding, ding is, who is this guy to you? Because I think, and I told somebody this, that, and I could be very wrong, that by the end of this thing, he is going to be an edge rusher for Ohio State. He is going to be what C.J. Hicks tried to be.
Okay.
And I like C.J. Hicks, not a knock on him, but it didn't work out at Ohio State. But he's going to be that piece where he's so... Now, do I think that they'll drop him back and cover and all that stuff?
Yeah.
He's very versatile, which is great. But I think in the end, he's going to be a guy opposite of Kenyatta Jackson where they send him in a lot of big plays. And this is such a weird spot that we're in. I mean, it's February. And I just want to know, what am I wrong? I can't remember a time where I sat back and I'm like, I could be 100% wrong.
Yeah.
They could be considering him.
I don't think you're 100% wrong.
Okay. All right.
I don't even know if you're 10% wrong.
And I think that could be, I picked him as a top 5 impact transfer player, which is not a bold take.
That was the AK top 5.
That was the AK top 5 portal rankings. Not a bold take. I will go. What do we call bold P's?
Yeah, bold P's.
Bold P right here. I'm pushing it in. I think that he is a top 3 impact player on defense next season.
He needs to be. I mean, I think that's the role that he's being brought in for.
I think he could end up being first team All Big Ten, somewhere in the All American conversation.
Well, we're pushing the envelope.
There's a lot of All American. You get third team, fourth team.
Okay.
The AK All American.
Just to make sure that prediction comes true.
Make sure it comes true. No, but that's a drastic measure. But I do think that is the most critical part of him. And then.
Hold on, though. We did get an email at the Austin and Berm Show at gmail.com, and they said, hey, just thinking about the end of the year, and Ohio State was undefeated until Adam King was on bold P's.
Eesh.
So think about that for a second. You mentioned that it's February right now. Winter doesn't wait, and neither should you. I'm going to let you stew on that for just a second, so hopefully you'll be fine. The Waterworks and Hetter Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing is there to make sure your home is ready for cold mornings, icy nights, and everything in between, which we have seen plenty of in the last couple of weeks. Stay cozy all season long, and call the Waterworks and Hetter Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing at 614-232-2222. The guys from Alabama both. You look at Quay Rousseau, James Smith, those are former 5-stars. And when I want to bring this back to what you said earlier on about Ryan Day and the way he was talking on Friday night, that it was all about 2026.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at almost every pickup was made in the transfer portal with the sole purpose of you are going to be playing a role for a team trying to win a national championship. Yep. It is not for the future. It is for the present.
I think it's really interesting. I think that's where we are in college football forever here, is that, and it's funny you say this. I think actually, because I think other people will handle the in-depth questions about yourself. But the one question I want to ask Ryan is how much in the past 2 years, maybe even in the past 6 months, maybe in the past month, has your scope of how this job operates? Because I think for the longest time, we can all agree that a college football coach's job was to take a group of guys and maybe you hit your first year. And if you do, then we got something special. The second year, like if we can peak a little bit early, we could win a national title. And the third year, this is our year. Now it feels like the building of a group, the building of a roster and bringing guys in and even with the coaching staff and everything, nothing matters until I think we're going to sit here every single offseason and have the same conversations forever.
I hope not.
Well, unless they get this fixed. I'm saying if we're in this model right now, that's how it has to be almost. And I know Indiana did it their own way, but that's kind of what they did. They were like, all right, let's piece it together. Now, Ohio State has a culture that they want to build. Ryan Day was very clear that every player had to fit that culture. And
every coach.
And every coach. But I don't like it. So that was a long walk for a short drink of water to say, I don't like that we're losing that in college football, because I think that's what makes college football great, is that you and I can sit here and say, last year, Riley Pettijohn's my ride of the bus guy, and I can get excited for him. And then he plays this year, and maybe he's great this year, but really next year he could be an All-American guy. But you've lost a lot of that in college football.
Yeah, because at this time last year, if it had been the people that we were on the bandwagon for, driving the bus, leading the train as the engineer, Mylan Graham was that for me.
Yeah, there you go.
And it's I still think he's got every bit of potential. What I saw on the practice field, the encouragement that we saw, the flashes, whether they were in games or spring games, I was I still feel like I wouldn't be giving up. I wouldn't be jumping off of that bandwagon right now. But the point that you're making is that might be potential that's realized somewhere else now in college football, because I still would have felt the same way. And I've been talking about him all this offseason. Look out. Sometimes everyone's on a different journey. It took Terry McLaurin 5 years. Mylan Graham is in year 3. He's going to be fine. Let's just have some patience. And now some of that is gone. And that, I know, it has to be frustrating for fans. I can't speak for them. I know just covering the team, and for your perspective, it's the one-year nature of college football right now. A lot of people are turned off by that. And I think coaches are part of that, because that makes their job incredibly more difficult, and they're well compensated for that. No one's going to feel sympathy for them, but that is part of the soul of college football that is being lost. And I don't know how long it's going to take to capture that. We don't have enough time on Talking Tuesday to break down collective bargaining and transfer portal rules. And that would,
I don't want that. That's not in my job.
We're not. We're also not qualified for that.
That's right.
That's not our decision. So, but it does reinforce, I think, your overarching point, which is that whether that's building a coaching staff, attacking the transfer portal, building a signing class, everything has to be done with immediate urgency. Can you help Ohio State in 2026 or not? And that's it.
That's a good way to put it. Immediate urgency. And that's what it certainly felt like with Arthur Smith. It felt like, and almost to the extent with Matt Patricia, because we're still kind of playing that game. Let's see what the NFL does. But everybody wants Matt Patricia here.
Yeah.
But nobody, you know what I've noticed through that is nobody's mad. Nobody's sitting back he doesn't want to be here. That's not the nature of college football anymore. People get it. And obviously Matt Patricia does love it in Columbus. He's been a great fit. But with any coach, it's not you're abandoning your players. It's the whole world is chaos. People leave every day.
Abandoning your players. By the way, 31 of them abandoned Ohio State. And I regret even phrasing it that way. It's just for the part of the conversation where it was that's there. There's no sense of contractual obligation and or loyalty. Everybody's decision is for their own, but they're all being made at the end of every season. Whether that I wanted to see Mylan Graham or Quincy Porter or Aaron Scott, none of that matters. I would have their current decision for 2026. Maybe in 2027 they want to come back. That's the road that we're on. The reality of what we're in. Why we need these rules, because otherwise you have no choice. We can say we liked the old way better, and you can take every 3-star out there and you can develop it, and you can Clemson's tried that, by the way, not using the transfer portal
Yeah, it didn't work.
and not using every avenue to improve your team. You can either adapt and evolve, or your program can die. And I'm 100% confident. I'm 1,000,000% confident that Ryan Day's not going to let that happen.
I mean, they've adapted in a way that is beyond impressive. Again, I think I said this on the last Talking Tuesday. Like, I understand that fans get frustrated, but go look at the last 10 top 25s at the end of the year. There's only one program that is there every single year, and it's Ohio State. And so I made this push. I told people to go on a cruise. They're back from the cruise.
Yeah.
They're back from the cruise, and it's negative 10 degrees out.
Should have stayed on the cruise.
This is the fun part. I told somebody the other day, I can't remember who tweeted it. They tweeted out, like, Ohio State fans have probably only been happy 3 days out of the last 3 years. This is the fun time. Like, buckle in. Like, I'm not promoting your podcast here, but I'll promote your podcast.
What do you mean?
When you
it says your name right there.
Yes, but I'm not sure. Let me say this better. This was not a scripted thing.
Oh, okay.
But like listening to you every day in the off season here with Berm and like us breaking down, like this is the fun part because you get to see it come together and take shape. And then September 5th, now we go. And you can't
skip January.
Yeah. That's what it's going to have to be. That's kind of as we take a deep breath here.
Dry January for Ohio State fans.
Just come back and say, all right, who's number 12? Who's the OC this year? Okay. So, but back to the plaque, the thing about Bold Peas.
Yeah.
Can I pencil myself in September 4th?
Yeah. You want to break the streak?
I feel like that's a lock.
Okay.
But if you don't, maybe we can do.
Have you made your travel plans for September 11th yet?
Well, I have not.
Because we'll be there early.
Maybe September 18th, the one before Kent State.
Okay.
Hold on. November 13th before.
Well, there's a pretty big gap in there.
the rest are going to be a little. Maryland. There we go.
You want that one?
Somebody told me the other day. I was like, you go at Indiana, you go at USC, then versus Oregon, then you catch your breath versus Northwestern. Someone was like, whoa.
That was Berm. Berm was like, Northwestern's going to be tough. You got Chip Kelly coming in, and I'm like, buddy,
Berm, what are you talking about?
The schedule is hard enough as it is. You don't have to shoehorn Northwestern in there.
No. Yeah, we don't have to make up fake trap games.
And by the time you play Northwestern, they're still going to be Northwestern, but they'll also have like half of their roster.
They're home, which is good. Like if it was on the road, I'd be like, okay, if it's like an 11 a.m. Evanston kick with the snow coming down, maybe.
Back in Wrigley.
We got so many answers in between.
I know.
The last Talking Tuesday.
I hope we get even more. It's not guaranteed. I know that Ohio State is working diligently to get Ryan Day in front of a microphone at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. And to be honest, we can't wait to cover it. I hope
100%.
I hope it is Wednesday, the traditional National Signing Day, which will be very busy and boring. Busy and boring.
Because everybody's signed.
Busily boring.
I was going to say, how can it be busy and boring?
I mean, busy because we have got to crank out the content, but boring in terms of new names. It doesn't work. It was just a mistake. Okay?
It was a mistake.
Yeah, I tried to work my way back out of it.
No,
just learn your words.
I'm the one that said a player was going to transfer that wasn't transferring on accident. And freaked everybody out.
Sometimes we make mistakes, but
doesn't sound like me.
We're going to find out as many answers as we possibly can about Ohio State this week. And if we don't see Ryan Day on Wednesday, maybe it'll be next week. Either way, on Tuesday on The Beat, presented by the Waterworks, Television's Adam King will be sitting right there. Radio's Austin Ward will be right here, and we'll be talking about the Buckeyes because that is what we do. And we'll talk to you later.